What made you decide to go back to stand-up? Because I know you started doing that when you were really young. What made you
Yeah.
go back to it now?
Well, I've been doing this web television show for the last 4 years, and it's been going really well. And I have all sorts of people who have, basically I've millions of people around the world who watch the show at tomgreen.com. And people call into the show on Skype video. I've literally have, like I said, people all over the world watching, and it occurred to me that it might be a fun way to take the show to them is by through doing stand-up. It's something I've always wanted to do. I've always meant to do to really develop that craft, and I loved doing it when I was younger. Missed doing it, and I have an opportunity now to be able to go around and tour doing this. So I just decided to kind of bite the bullet and really roll up my sleeves and really put together a show, and it's something I'm taking really seriously. And in the last year, I've gone all around the world, and I've been all over Australia. I did all of all of the U.S., every city in the U.S. Done most of Canada now, except for the East Coast. I've got to hit the East Coast, and then so it's been fun. It's funny. Like I'll be doing my show, and I'll recognize people in the audience that I've never met in person before, but that have called me for years on Skype on my website. And it's a hilarious sort of thing that happens because I sort of see someone, I go, wait, I know that guy. Oh, I know that person from Skype video. They called me when I was interviewing Val Kilmer a year ago, and we had a conversation. And it was pretty. I think it's pretty indicative of how connected we all are, in the world now with the internet. When I can go to Australia and to cities I've never been to in my entire life and meet, hundreds of people after the show who I know.
Yeah, and you filmed one of the shows in Australia, right?
Yeah, I've been filming actually all of the shows in the last 6 months. We filmed my show in Sydney, was the first one we did multi-camera, and then shortly after that I started touring with a camera person, sort of video producer from TomGreen.com, a guy who works for my website, and we shoot all the shows multi-camera. We're putting together a tour documentary film about the tour this year, and we'll be shooting everything in Halifax and all across Nova Scotia. If people come out to the show, they'll be in the movie.
That's not the Prank Star movie, is it? Or was that something
Prank
else?
Star's a movie
Okay.
that it's kind of still sort of in production. It's essentially almost finished, but it's a different movie, and this is more of a documentary about my stand-up comedy, and we're going to be filming and shooting and releasing a comedy special this year, and putting that out with all this footage of me traveling around the world, and also one complete, really well documented set of mine from a theater somewhere. So
Nice. I hope we get to see Prankstar soon because I was a big fan of your earlier film work, especially Freddy Got Fingered.
yeah, it's been amazing. Like Freddy Got Fingered has essentially taken off and become this real hit movie in the last couple of years. Obviously it was something that was, met with some resistance by the critics and stuff when it came out. But in the last 5 years or so, it's really turned into this real cult movie. And all over the world, people are yelling out, from the audience scenes from the movie, and it's become this really fun thing for me. So, yeah, it's exciting. I loved making that movie. I directed that movie, and I'm actually hoping to shoot another movie this year that I'm going to write and direct, and it's going to be a crazy one too, like Freddy Got Fingered for sure.
We are coming up on the 10th anniversary of Freddy Got Fingered, and there was talk of a director's cut. Is that still in the works, or?
It's something that I'd like to do someday. It's not actually in the works as of yet, but it's definitely something that I'd like to do someday for sure. I think I'm going to put my attention into actually just making a new movie this year.
Okay.
And just doing something. I actually have a couple of ideas. I might make 2 movies this year that are going to be kind of going back to a little bit more of the crazier stuff that I used to do on the street. So I want to take a feature film and do something out on the streets and do some pranks and stuff like that again. So I've always wanted to do a feature film of live action comedy, and I've never really had the opportunity to do it, but now I'm going to do it.
When you look back on some of that stuff you did on the street, like what you did to your parents' car, which is legendary, the soccer hooligans was one of my favorite things on the old Tom Green show. Do you ever look back on some of that stuff and go, man, what was I thinking? Or do you think, wow, I could have went further?
I never really think I could have gone further, because I don't really think I could have gone much further than some of the stuff I did. I mean, I definitely, but I also know what I was thinking too. So it's sort of this thing where I just look back at it with a lot of fond memories and happy memories, and I really, I'm proud of a lot of that stuff. We pushed the envelope as far as we could do it. We really made a real point to sit around and come up with real creative, ridiculous things we could do with the video camera. And we were always trying to think of things that we'd never seen on TV before, and really try to change the whole, method of shooting and all this stuff. I was a broadcasting student, so I was really kind of into the whole technical aspects of things as well. And so, I'm really, I'm really, I love all the old stuff. And it's kind of, after I've taken a few years off of going out and doing some of that sort of more outrageous stuff out in the streets, I'm starting to kind of pine to get out and do it again. So that's why I'm going to do this movie this year.
I think the timing is perfect for it. I mean, you just see Jackass had a huge kind of revival, and
yeah, well, it's almost kind of like it's possible now. To be honest with you, I wanted to do this 10 years ago, and the movie studios back at that time just sort of were not really able to even conceptualize that. I pitched it around. I told everybody I wanted to go out and do a movie on the streets, and we'll film it with small cameras and people just sort of told me, we don't make movies like that, and the big studios said that. And I think they're starting to come around now with, movies like Paranormal Activity and, all these movies that are kind of shot more reality style. So it's kind of an exciting time, where the movie business is starting to wake up and think, maybe people do want to see a little bit more of this type of stuff. My show is always so much different than that, but at the end of the day, they're sort of able to wrap their heads around doing stuff that's a little bit more non-scripted.
Yeah, is that the hardest thing for you in Hollywood? Because you definitely think not just outside the box, almost in a totally different box, and they seem to be so rigid in their thinking. Is that the hardest thing for you, kind of working in this business and dealing with those suits?
Well, it's like a catch-22, because I've always gotten into the business by doing things that haven't really been done yet. For instance, my web show. I started my web talk show 5 years ago. There's still nobody doing a nightly online talk show on the internet. It's been 5 years since you've been able to do it. I jumped on it immediately the second it was technically possible. I think that's just because I was so aware of what the technology is, And I thought, hey, this will be a cool way to do something that's never really been done before. We'll do a talk show on the internet out of my living room, and and to everybody listening, if you haven't seen it, just go to tomgreen.com and check it out. There's literally 4 years worth of shows on there you can go watch, and where I'm interviewing celebrities and people like that. So, but but the thing is, then you kind of got to wait for the business to catch up, so this is why I've gone out and done stand-up this year. It's sort of like the advertising industry wasn't quite ready to start getting behind web shows, but that's starting to change now. So I think it's going to be a good year for the web show too. Yeah.
Cool. Two more real quick questions for you. First off, how's Glenn doing? Glenn Humplick.
He's doing good, and Phil is doing really good. Phil Giroux.
Yeah.
And all those guys who I work with, they're all doing good, and yeah, everyone's doing awesome. It's just people have all gone and done their thing, and they were always high tech kind of gurus in their own right. So they all work in that industry, and yeah, it's cool.
Cool. And the last one, because I know you probably got a ton more interviews today too. I stand by the statement that Check the OR is the greatest Canadian rap song ever made.
All right. No way. Not better than Let Your Backbone Slide?
Better.
I don't know if that's possible, but
better.
I'd take second,
No, I'm putting you on top. I'm putting you on top.
No, one thing that's really cool about that little Halifax connection is we basically got that record deal because of a show I did in Halifax at a place called the Flamingo Club. I don't remember if you remember the Flamingo Club.
Oh, yeah.
But when I was doing organized rhyme when I was in high school, we opened up for the Dream Warriors. We drove all the way out to Halifax. I got a speeding ticket. I got a $400 on the way out in New Brunswick. And we drove all the way out there, and we played at the Flamingo Club and opened up for the Dream Warriors, and that's how we got that record deal, and that's how Organized Rhyme was born, and really was my first taste of show business, and sort of what opened my eyes up to thinking, hey, I could maybe work in the TV business someday after we went and promoted that record, and we're on Much Music and all that stuff. So So I love Halifax. I can't wait to come to Halifax. It's going to be an awesome time, and I'm looking forward to doing some shows out there.
Yeah, it's going to be great. No, you could tell there was hints of that in there, like the hamsters track and all that.
Yeah,
On
absolutely. There's always a lot of stupidity in organized rhyme, for sure.